Thank you, Raul, and thank you always for your incredible work you're doing for us, for ELFAC, and for large families all over the world. I think this is really our day. We celebrate families, but I think we can consider large families the elder brothers and sisters of all families. This makes us feel very much responsible and aware of how families should be treated and should be valued in Europe and in our countries. We have been working a lot since the birth of ELFAC. And I think our work is now reaching a good point. I think there are some good signs of interesting changes. And this fact of the UN celebrating with such an emphasis the Day of Family in preparation of next year's celebration, I think it's a very good sign. Families have been recognized as fundamental to reach many of the sustainability goals of the 2030 agendas. So I think we can find a good role in society and in our in our community. So I think we can have a look at the future with a little more hope, with hoping that again, even if the demographic situations is very bad, or maybe because of the demographic crisis and because of the COVID and what has happened to all of us, maybe it's time for everybody to rethink what is really important in life. And what is really important in life is really family, our relationships, our dearests. So thanks a lot for being here. Thanks for sharing with us this adventure that is being an association for families. And let's hope that our children will be able to grow in a family-friendly environment as we are trying to build. So thank you, and thanks for being here once again. Best luck for the new year.
Yes, thank you very much for participating in this event, and thank you, Raul and Regina, for your kind words. I hope you can understand me, and to make sure, I just wrote some notes on the chat. I said we wrote a press release today morning, and we received great feedback, among others by the director of a very prestigious institute. And we were very happy about that. And Elizabeth is very thankful that she can be there in the function of the vice president of ELFAC. And I think I'm very curious on what's going on right now. And she sent me some photos already. I can resend it to you. I will share it on social media. And Regina said it, demography or the negative trend is already also here in Germany. So we will see how it's going on. At the moment, I'm on a workshop on demographic change here in Berlin. So we don't have any specific solutions yet, but we congratulate all families all over the world. And yeah, thank you again.
Yes, very good evening to everyone. It's good to see you on the screen. I hope you are having a very nice International Day of Family. I just want to say a very short greeting from Budapest, Hungary, on behalf of the National Association of Large Families, greeting all families around the world. That we are not celebrating this day, especially in Hungary. We had the Mother's Day before, the weekend before, and we will have the Day of the Children a little bit later on in May. But it's becoming a more and more important event, thanks also to the work of ELFAC and all the international associations working for the family to celebrate this International Day. So once again, a very big congratulations for organizing, for being there at this event. For Elizabeth, Regina, thank you very much for your very kind words of introduction. And please count on NOAH, the National Associations of Hungary, in your continued work. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all. I am very happy to see all you in previous activities of the National Day of Families. We started this celebration already in 1994, and for us, this International Day of Families was very good thing to talk with government, to speak about all problems about demographic, and it's very nice possibility. And now I can give a floor to President of Latvian Association, Elina Treja, because she prepared speech, but I'm only supporter.
Yes. Hello. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was a little bit late. I don't know if I can share my. Just now I need to find it where it is. Sorry, your entire. Yeah. And I have a right to share also. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Just. Can you see it? Okay. Yeah, it will be very short, but first of all, congratulations on the International Family Day. And I didn't hear what Leonid said, but of course, I also want you to remember that since 2008, this is an official day to be celebrated in Latvian calendar as well. And unfortunately, the government's attitude towards the family has changed in recent years, and there are any public congratulations from the Prime Minister today. Ministry of Welfare has published only dry statistics about families on its Twitter account. I must say that concept of family has recently been stretched to indulge diversity, but neglecting the basic needs of children to grow up in natural and healthy family. For many years, on May 15, our Association of Large Families invited people to light family bonfires. And this year, let the fire burn in our hearts, and let us have enough heart warmth to warm our families with it. But this was second year that on May 1st, the Association of Large Families of Latvia celebrated the Day of Large Families. And we had a competition, a drawing competition before in order to send these celebration cards. And these are our final results. And these cards were published in all newspapers, all digital resources, and sent to families. And also they were given to all people who traveled on trains that day. On the 1st of May. And we also, if last year we celebrated virtually this large family day due to COVID restrictions, then this year we gathered 733 large families with many, many children for all our Latvia. We gathered them in Riga Zoo. And actually, we never believed that we can do it. So many big families in one place, that has never happened before. And actually, this day, it gave us strength. We believe that more and more families in Latvia are consciously choosing to raise 3 and more children. We strengthened each other, reinforced each other, and we had this feeling that a big family now is a norm in Latvia. In conclusion, we have gained a lot of good things on national level, but now the biggest challenge for us is to use our experience to convince those who are doubtful and fearful to start a family. We know that family means daring to lose a little bit of yourself in order to gain eternity. So these are our main tasks. We know we are experienced, and we hope that more and more people will choose family and large family. Thank you and congratulations. So I hope I can
Ciao, dear friends. It is a real honor to represent the Italian Large Families Association, coinciding with the International Family Day to be celebrated today at the United Nations. I first bring you greetings from Alfredo and Claudia Caltabiano, our presidents, who apologize for not being here today, and but hope to meet you soon, perhaps in Poland, for the ELFAC Congress next month. I also bring you greetings of the entire Italian Association of Large Families. We know the good you are doing all over Europe in the common service to the family. Thank you for all. Thanks also to our indefatigable Regina for her work in ELFAC. It's a great work. I like to share with you our satisfaction with what has been happening lately in Italy. We are indeed witnessing a change of climate in public language, communication, and politics. In recent days, Italy has celebrated the third edition of the General States of Natality in the presence of His Holiness Pope Francis and Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. The Pope said that the family is not the problem, but part of the solution to the problem, while Prime Minister assured that the birth rate and the family are at the center of all government policies. These words are our words. It fills us with pride and gratitude to hear words and concepts in the leader speeches that were only ours until recently. It means that we have been working well and maybe we are being heard today. I'm sure that we will continue to work together for the good of large families and the well-being of our peoples. Long live the family and long live ELFAC. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to meet you tonight, to have the opportunity to celebrate together this great day for all the families in the world. First of all, I want to say that I'm very proud that our association is part of ELFAC family, because you are like like a mother for all of the associations. And now we live like an historical moment when Elizabeth is there in New York and is bringing the voice of all large families to United Nations. So congratulations, and I'm very proud to live together with you this moment. And I want to say that thanks to ELFAC, we are doing steps in Romania. We are like the small baby of the associations, but a baby who try to raise and make great things for Romanian families. And I'm happy to say that this weekend we celebrated large family days with our families through sport and movement. We had a great event, and tomorrow we'll have a meeting at the Ministry of Family, Minister of Family, and we'll talk about large family cards. So hopefully we'll have new signs, because this is our work beginning from this year to have a national card in Romania. So we'll give you notice about the results of tomorrow meeting. So thank you very much for being in this great family named ELFAC, and I wish you, all of you, a lot of luck in your activities, because we know that it's not simple, but we do this for the families, because we believe that family is the strongest thing in our societies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, just few words, just to say, buy your ticket because next year we're going to celebrate in New York. So we must bring our families there, and we were going to have a lot of fun, and we will show everybody the beauty of our families. So see you next year. Okay, thank you.
Due to fewer childhood deaths, but we've
Okay.
also seen big gains at older ages as well.
Thank you.
And despite
Thank
the
you,
impact
Raoul.
of COVID-19,
Bye.
celebrating
Bye.
your 70th or your 80th birthday is becoming much more common globally. And while these gains have been more or less shared, there are still big differences across communities and across regions, and also between groups of people within societies as well. So for example, women live an average of 5 years, 5 years longer than men. Yeah, so you can see here some of that geographic change in the age distributions as well, where East Asia will have many more older persons than it does today. Also more likely to have more years in poor health or disability at older ages than men. So on to now what it means a little bit for societies and for families. One key message of the report is that that giving everyone an equal chance to grow older in good health and with economic security really starts with promoting equal opportunities at birth. So in other words, disadvantages can reinforce upon one another throughout people's lives, leading to big inequalities among older persons. So you can see from this slide here what we talk about in the report as the process of unequal aging. And we find in the report that older persons are more likely to live in income poverty than younger working age people, and that without action, older persons in the future are more likely to have to live in societies with high economic inequality. But there are, as we discussed in the report, lots of policy options open to countries. The main thing is that lifelong access to quality education, healthcare, and decent work can promote economic security and reduce inequalities in older ages. In other words, we need to make sure that when we reach old age, we're in the best possible shape. And these efforts can actually ease pressures on public pensions and care budgets in the long run, a major concern of governments across the world. Lifelong investments in decent work are crucial for people's ability to support themselves in older ages. And that means working in safe conditions and with coverage by social protection systems as well. Essentially, we talk about making it easier for people to contribute to public revenues while they are working in a way that ensures that society will be better off when they reach older ages. It also means investments in continued learning and skills development, as well as access to new technologies, which can stimulate innovation and economic growth. The report is clear that governments need to make sure that all older persons have a minimum of pension benefits while providing some flexibility in retirement ages. Workers who spend their lives in physically demanding jobs should be able to retire earlier than those white-collar workers who may want to keep working beyond legal retirement ages. We give some pathways in the report for how governments can balance sustainable public pension systems with the goal of income security. And we have a reminder in the report that economic security is a human right. It's enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We point out that the full and equitable participation of women in the formal labour market can boost economies with ageing populations. The global labour force participation rate for women is still more than 20 percentage points lower today than it is for men between the ages of 20 and 64. One key challenge here is to ensure that there is a more equitable sharing of work and care demands. So in this slide, we describe some of our findings on long-term care. In general, there has been a trend towards smaller families and smaller households globally, meaning that older persons are more likely to live alone or with just a partner. But care burdens for older persons still fall mostly upon women, who are the primary caregivers for older persons worldwide. They're also more likely to receive care as well. It is usually female relatives, daughters, and wives who provide care needed for older persons. Caregivers, both paid and unpaid, still often don't have formal training, financial support, or legal protections, making those inequalities even worse. In the report, we talk about a more equitable, person-centered approach to care, and one that operates across governments, businesses, civil societies, communities, and families to address some of those issues with care. So more countries need to develop and invest in long-term care. This can mean formalizing care work to create decent jobs and generate opportunities for women to participate in the labor market. We can also do better to protect care workers, both paid and unpaid, who suffer from poor working conditions, low wages, and few labor rights. There should be strategies to help people age in place, meaning older persons staying at home, possibly with a family member as carers, which is often a clear preference among older persons, although doing so should balance the needs and competing paid and unpaid demands of other family members. Aging in the right place can be promoted by supporting unpaid caregivers, including family members with financial assistance, training, and paid leave entitlements. Some wealthier countries already provide cash benefits to informal carers, sometimes pay directly to carers or pay to those in need. The Netherlands, Sweden, the United Kingdom, for example, provide both of these types of cash benefits. Other countries provide rights to leave to care for a family member, either unpaid or paid. Some European countries, Poland, Belgium, and some of the Nordic countries also have some of the most generous paid leave support for caregivers. Respite care, where older persons can go to give unpaid carers a break from their responsibilities, are also crucial. And better oversight and regulation of care systems overall can help to address some of the inequalities in care provision. Overall, while there isn't a one-size-fits-all response to population aging, the report sets out some of the pathways that countries can help to manage the transformation. So I encourage you all to go and read it, or at least the executive summary. There's a couple of remaining hard copies over in the corner, but this is what it looks like. So it also can be found online as well. I'll stop here and I'll pass back over to Masumi, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for that summary findings and the important messages around aging being a success story and how equal opportunities at birth is needed to address unequal aging process. You also touched upon the issues around the need for equitable sharing of care responsibilities, which I'm sure is a topic that's of great interest to this group. So I'm sure audience will have questions afterwards. Let's see if we can now go back to Dr. Zita Mokomane's presentation. Okay, so let's, in the meantime, continue with our presenters. Our next speaker is Ms. Donna Butts, Executive Director of Generations United. She will speak about intergenerational solidarity and collaboration. Donna, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, and thank you. I am filling in for a dear, dear colleague, Dr. Ernest Gonzalez, who is very sorry that he's not able to be here today. He contacted us last night and is very ill, but he spent quite a bit of time preparing a presentation, and as a good colleague and friend, I told him that I'd be honored to have an opportunity to take his place, although I will not claim to be as gifted as Ernest is. But thank you, and thank you. So, I do want to thank Masumi, Renata, and dear colleagues for this opportunity and for the interest that you've expressed in the promise and challenges of intergenerational cohesion in the 21st century. There are many challenges, as Mr. Perry said, and many opportunities. We know that people are living longer, and what our goal is that they prosper. In addition to some of the studies you've heard about, there was one recent one of children born in Western societies who will live, more now, will live to be 100 years old. Nearly 1 billion people are expected to be 65 or older by 2023. So while population aging is one of our greatest achievements of humankind, the demographic shifts also come with major challenges and opportunities. And we can look at this as a grand challenge to reduce, if not eliminate, the inequities in health that are a result of the systemic across extended life courses. Most of them are avoidable and unfair, and they cut into the quality and quantity of life of individuals, their families, and their communities. Oftentimes when we hear about aging, we hear about it in terms of Ds. It's death, disease, depression, dementia, all very negative connotations. And at the population level, we think about bankrupt budgets, strains on the healthcare system, and overburdening a younger population. But and there, along with that comes the inequity, the anti-racism, ageism, sexism. And so in order to really combat this and take it on, we need to think of these as with an intergenerational solutions lens, with an intersectionality to build a knowledge base that informs policy, practice, and in particular in the area of employment and other areas. We need to really think about how we change the conversation from burden to benefit and focus on intergenerational solutions. Now, there are many areas that intergenerational programming have focused on in ways that we can end in age segregation, focusing on health, academic performance, and discrimination. Intergenerational interventions are really prevention and treatment that help with our economies, our communities, and our younger and older other populations. For example, intergenerational programs that combat obesity, which costs us $61 billion a year, can help to reduce obesity. When older adults are engaged in helping with, young children achieve academic accomplishments, that really helps our GDP by more than $551 billion annually. In the face of longevity, we need to make sure that we're identifying solutions that benefit multiple generations. And I think a current one we're in discussions about has to do with the social isolation and loneliness that we were experiencing even before COVID. And when we think that our younger and older populations are those that feel the most socially isolated, we really need to think about intergenerational cohesion, how we connect people across the lifespan. So the concept of productive aging is really juxtaposed against that a deficit approach. We need to focus on opportunities. And with the capacity of older adults increasing, we know that there are more healthy years after the age of 60 than there were in the past. We know that there are increased levels of education and social capital or human capital that we can engage with. But we also know that older adults want to be involved. They want to be engaged. They want to have purpose and a reason to get up in the morning and contribute to their communities. So we must make it possible for them to be able to do that. Dr. Gonzalez did a report for us at Generations United on making the case for intergenerational programs. And I'd encourage you all to go to either the Generations United webpage or to NYU's website and download this document, because he's done an incredible job of breaking it down based on age group. So just to share a couple of those highlights for you in terms of the benefits, we know that for infants and preschool, that it increases their ability to see people differently than they are and accept them. That stimulation helps to increase their vocabulary and language abilities. For elementary school children, it does help enhance reading and writing. There's a school in Oklahoma that I had a chance to visit that had reading buddies, and their pre-K and kindergarten students started into elementary school 1 to 2 grades ahead of their peers because of the older adults who invested and tutored and worked with them. The children are more likely to show patience, sensitivity, compassion, and respect. They also oftentimes have less screen time and have healthier diets and are more physically active than their peers. The benefits then for middle school age children, oftentimes there's a healthier family dynamic because they've had positive interactions with someone of another generation. They're shown to be less likely to become engaged in substance use or unhealthy behavior. It enhances their reasoning, their thinking. It decreases bullying and victimizations. So there are many assets. For high school age students or older teenagers, they're more empowered to make changes in school and in their neighborhoods. They improve emotionally and mentally. They are more physically active, but again, they're more likely to report having a purpose and a reason to get out of bed, to live their lives, because they can contribute to a community that oftentimes they're not sure that they have that value. For college students, there's higher rates of civic engagement and civic life among college students that are involved in intergenerational programs. They express higher levels of self-confidence and efficacy. They gain skills and knowledge about an aging society. And that's something that's very important, because if we keep people isolated and segregated, they're not going to learn about each other, let alone care about each other. For adults, they worry less about their aging parents because they know that they're involved with other populations. They see that older adults have brought resources to their home. They teach their children and grandchildren. And as we think about demographic change, I think it's very important to note the increased role that older adults play as grandparents, as other relatives, whether it's as full-time or part-time caregivers, taking care of children or helping with babysitting or childcare. They're very involved. And for older adults, they report a decrease in social isolation, improvements in the quality of their lives. They improve cognitively. They test better on memory tests. It reduces their falls and their frailty. They report a better balance, less use of canes. They're more physically active, and they learn new skills. I loved an intergenerational program I was reading about the other day, and younger people were teaching them technology skills, and they were interviewing one of the older adults, and she said, they're teaching us technology skills. Tomorrow I'm going to learn how to do a selfie. I don't know if I care about how to do a selfie, but it sounds like fun. So they're learning things with each other. And for the communities, it creates a vehicle to bring generations together. But what I really appreciate, and I think this is in line with the SDGs, is it's a better use of outdoor space and indoor space when we engage multiple generations in a facility, in a park, in a playground. It helps our resources to go further so communities can build a stronger infrastructure. There are many programs that are available that you can learn from that are win-win-wins that really help us to understand it's not just a benefit for an older person or a younger person, but again, the community, the family are all strengthened. So I know we're going to be having questions and answers, and I just wanted to share with you, in order to access some of the materials that Dr. Gonzalez has prepared, his website as well as ours at Generations United. And I also wanted to encourage you to watch the work underway now with the NGO Committee on Intergenerational Solidarity here at the UN. Suzanne Sepperson is the co-chair or the
Good
vice
day.
chair of that.
My name is Zita
And
Mukomani.
people
I'm a
are
demographer.
involved. And then at the Generations United conference this summer, we'll be offering a symposium on the changing demographics and family. And many of our colleagues here at the UN will be involved with that so that we can more deeply dive into the importance of the changing demographics. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you for stepping in last minute. We really appreciate it. We're so lucky to have you. I really liked how you framed the inequality across life course as a grand challenge, and how you mentioned that we need to change the conversation from burden to benefits. And it was great how you provided examples of intergenerational solutions with intersectionality lens in different, education settings, and as well as the important contribution of older adults. So thank you so much. Now we're going to go to the presentation. Could we run the video now, please?
Good day. My name is Zita Mukomani. I'm a demographer and currently a professor and head in the Department of Sociology at the University of Pretoria in South Africa. I'm delighted to be giving this keynote address on the impact of demographic change on families. Good day. My name is Zita. To put everything in context, I would like to start with the definition of demography. It is the scientific study of human populations with a particular interest in the analysis of three phenomena, namely changes in population size, the composition of population, and the distribution of populations in space. Changes in this phenomena are what we call demographic trends. These trends are determined by three basic processes or events. The first is fertility, which is the average number of births per woman over a lifetime. I wish to emphasize that in demographic terms, fertility refers to the product or output of reproduction rather than the physiological ability to have children. The second demographic process is mortality, which is the total number of deaths in a population. And the third and last one is migration, which is defined as the geographic movement of people across a specified boundary for the purpose of establishing a new permanent or semi-permanent residence. In addition to being important determinants of population size and structure, these processes are also important for understanding a range of socioeconomic, political, and environmental issues, and the impact of these issues on society and its functioning. Understanding because of their impact on the family, which is widely recognized as the fundamental unit of society. This statement made by Judith Selzer in a 2019 article clearly summarizes why this is the case. As the statement shows, all demographic events occur in families. The motivation for having a child, for example, which is fertility, the consequence of losing a parent or a spouse, or in fact, any family member, which is mortality, and when people move to new locations, which is migration, are all family experiences. Selzer also shows how demographic trends can determine individuals' health outcomes, labor force participation, and the economic welfare of families and family members. It is also from this statement we can also deduct that the impact of family trends, the impact of demographic trends on families is also of relevance to a number of Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs, specifically SDG 1 on poverty eradication, SDG 3 on good health and well-being, SDG 4 on quality education, SDG 5 on gender equality, SDG 8 on decent work and economic growth, as well as SDG 16 on ending violence, among others. In the next 10 minutes or so, I'll give a high-level overview of how demographic trends and the underlying process can impact families. I'll start with fertility, then talk about mortality, then finally migration. This presentation is just to set a stage for the upcoming presentation that will dwell more on the prevailing demographic trends and their impact on contemporary families and society. On the whole, demographic literature has consistently shown that fertility levels can generate benefits or costs for society, and this may be either be captured within the family or spill over and influence the welfare of other members of families and society. In terms of benefits, Becker's theory on the quantity-quality trade-off has been widely used to argue that high fertility or the high quantity of children strains family budgets and reduces the availability of resources to feed, educate, and provide health care to children. Families with fewer children, on the other hand, tend to invest more on the quality of the children they have. For example, through providing them with better education, better nutrition, better access to health care, and overall lifetime opportunities, which together can reduce family poverty and stimulate positive family well-being. It can thus be argued that lower fertility has positive outcomes for children's education and health, and eventually for the human capital of families and societies at large. Another benefit of lower fertility is demonstrated association with increased participation of women in the labor force. This is particularly the case in societies where the bulk of childbearing and childcare responsibilities carried by women. On the other hand, fewer children per woman, which is lower fertility, can theoretically free up women's time and contribute to an increase in their labor force participation. In terms of high fertility, a long-standing hypothesis relates to its role as a form of safety net or old age support in contexts where there is no or limited social security for older people. The argument here is that in context of low fertility decline, older people will eventually have fewer children with whom they can reside, and hence they will have compromised long-term care. Long-term care includes acts such as material assistance, help with daily activities, and emotional support for older people. Long-term care has an element of filial obligation by which children essentially have a responsibility to support their aged parents in return for, or as a repayment, if you wish, of the parental care and support they received in childhood. One way through which this obligation is executed is through co-residence between older parents and their adult children in multi-generational households. Residence in multi-generational life has been associated with positive subjective well-being and overall improved health outcomes among older people, as well as with strengthened intergenerational relationships. This relationship provides reciprocal material, emotional, and affective support between younger and older family members. Decreased family fertility has also been associated with compromised family social capital, which entails social relationships, values, and norms shared by a family, and these norms are positively linked with family members' mental and physical health status. Now moving to mortality. The family effect in mortality is associated with the socioeconomic status of household and parents. This is through what is called the social gradient of health, a notion that members of families with higher socioeconomic positions tend to be healthier because of their greater access to flexible resources that are capable of decreasing risk to poor health, to illness, to disability and death, and eventual mortality. In terms of the impact of mortality on the family, it is widely documented that death in a family typically leads to shifts in the family dynamics, changes the role of family members, and reshapes their identities. It also changes patterns of communications and shifts or restructures family relationship between family members. Maternal death, for example, the death of a mother, has been shown to have spillover effects onto the health, survival, and nutrition of young children. It has also been shown to have short and long-term consequences on children and families through increased risk of child labor, poor learning outcomes, lower educational attainment, early marriage, early childbearing, and disrupted living arrangements for children left behind. Maternal mortality can also worsen gender inequality within families due to defined gender roles that render men and/or fathers unable to assume household responsibilities and childcare responsibilities. This suggests, for example, that when a family takes in orphans, women's assume increased caregiving responsibilities. A related effect to this is the reduction in women's ability to access financial and material resources, including participation in paid labor, as well as in disrupting to productive labor force participation, the importance of which we discussed earlier. The impact of mortality on the family can also be gleaned from the literature on widowhood. It is somehow logical to expect that when a person loses their spouse, the extended family reaction and support will try to compensate for the loss of interaction experienced by the surviving spouse and the nuclear family. And this has been actually a lot of literature in developing countries such as Africa have shown how the healing value of traditional widowhood rights. On the whole, however, the literature on the subject has evidence, a lot of evidence on the array of societal challenges, injustices, discrimination, harmful cultural rights, as well as economic health and quality of life deprivations that widows in most parts of the world face. In addition to these challenges, the death of a primary caregiver, such as a husband, can endanger the very existence of a household due to declines in support as well as changes in living conditions of surviving family members. Changes to family living conditions can also be brought about by some of the most common widowhood strategies that include remaining a widowed household head. This strategy is important as a wide body of evidence has consistently identified female-headed households as particularly vulnerable to an array of psychosocial and economic challenges, such as income insecurity, poverty, role overload, role conflict, social exclusion, as well as inter- and intra-family problems. The other common strategy, widowhood strategy, can change the family structure by creating a blended or step families through remarriage. These families are defined as new partnerships that involve non-biological children from previous relationships. There is available evidence showing that the extent to which high-quality step-parent-child relationship can exert positive influence on youth adjustment. On the whole, however, a wide and established body of research shows that step families typically experience negative dynamics that are generally not found in biological families and that have implications for family function, as well as for child and young youth well-being. Such challenges include clouded roles of step parents, ambiguous family boundaries, poor family cohesiveness, heightened conflict between children and step parents, as well as between step siblings. There's also recognition of conflicting family cultures, family relocation, and declines in parent-child relationship quality. With regards to migration, the family effect cannot be a blanket judgment. Migration is largely dependent on individual and family circumstances such as education, occupation, socioeconomic, and historical factors. Indeed, migration trends stem from its deep-rooted impact on family decision-making practices and function. Much of the literature on the benefits of migration for families points to the role that remittances, the financial transfers that migrants send home to their families, play in enhancing the overall well-being of family members left behind. Through remittances, migration is an added advantage as it brings additional income to the family, which can be used to alleviate poverty, helping building investments to support household consumption, improve healthcare for parents left behind, as well as to provide for children's education, health, and nutrition. Remittances are, however, more than just economic resources. They also have important social benefits for both migrants and their family members who stay behind. These include gender equality as women take on more decision-making powers, and overall positive intra-family and intergenerational relations. It is noteworthy, however, that migration often comes at the cost of leaving behind long-term networks and at times relationships and cultural beliefs that span generations. The impact of migration can also be at the structural level, where regulation and policies create deep inequalities when it comes to family life. Due to time constraints, I will not talk about the link between migration and urbanization, but this is a major issue that we can perhaps talk about during the discussions. These two statements summarize the key points of this address. According to Foster, for example, people's longer lifespan, which is often a direct result of decreased mortality, and smaller families, which is a direct result of decreased fertility, produce generations of older adults, which have on average fewer traditional family ties. The second statement highlights how family migration is a driver of overall migration, and as such, should be recognized in overall policy making. I look forward to more in-depth discussions in the next presentations on these issues and their prevailing trends. I also look forward to hearing recommendations to enhance family well-being through more attention to demographic trends. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mokomani. She's online, so we'll have time for questions for her from the floor as well. I really urge everyone to check out the full paper, which is online on the website of UNDESA International Day of Families. It's you can see there's a lot to unpack here, and the paper is so rich with data and analysis on the fertility, mortality, and migration and their impacts on family-related policies. Now I would like to turn to our three civil society representatives who will focus on the importance of civil society declaration for International Year of the Family plus 30, noting its recommendations on the topic of demographic change and families. We will hear from Angela Fallenstein, Doha International Family Institute representative, Elizabeth Mueller, European Large Families Confederation representative, and Alex Vasquez, International Federation for Family Development representative. So we'll start with Angela, please.
I think it's me. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Masumi.
Yes, Alex, let's start with you.
Well, yeah, good afternoon, and I'm honored to be sharing this panel with academia, UN system, and civil society representatives, exactly the ones that we have drafted the declaration. And thank you for the Division on Inclusive Social Development for organizing this observance. I am here to share with you the motivations, goals, actors, and accomplishments of the exciting journey to develop the Civil Society Declaration for the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family. And in this regard, to best prepare the 30th anniversary, and following up on the lead of the Secretary General's proposed megatrends, we integrated the challenges faced by families worldwide, together with substantial contributions from experts. We also share the situation, needs, claims of families worldwide at the United Nations and all stakeholders involved. And at last, we recommend how family policy should be designed, implemented, and evaluated from 2024 and beyond. In this journey, since 2018, we have been working together with UNDESA and transnational civil society organizations representing every region of the globe. In order to draft the declaration, we have gone through 26 race awareness events, 5 expert group meetings, 3 focus groups, and 42 expert recommendations to land on the most enriched and comprehensive civil society declaration on the family ever. Now, I will kindly ask the other drafters to convey some of the contents of the declaration. Angela, please.
The Doha International Family Institute would sincerely like to thank the United Nations Division on Inclusive Social Development and UNDESA for convening this important observance of the International Day of the Family. At the heart of the event today is our shared goal of advocating for and promoting the support and empowerment of the family as a fundamental group unit of society. Having considered today's theme, families and demographic change, we pay particular attention to the Civil Society Declaration on the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family that issues the call to, first, provide assistance, care, protection for all family members, taking into account longer life expectancy, growing numbers of dual worker households, declining fertility, higher rates of family breakdown, and changing family patterns, particularly through the evaluation and development of healthcare, pension systems, and care policies. And promote initiatives on early childhood development through allowing parents and primary caregivers to spend more time with their children, to bond and to secure attachment in the first years, as well as to provide better access to health and child development services, affordable health care, parental leave, and other effective ways to cultivate children's potential and improve their well-being. In this regard, the Civil Society Declaration reaffirms the role of the family as a fundamental unit of society, responsible for the growth and well-being of all of its members, particularly children, and that it should be afforded protection and assistance. As such, we recognize the need to, first, enhance the development and implementation of comprehensive and holistic family policies, from evaluation to implementation, that recognize the indispensable role of the family in society. Second, support the increase of fertility rates or slow down its decline by increasing awareness levels that provide information on the changing values and the personal factors affecting fertility decisions. Third, reinforce the importance of implementing a set of financial support policies, such as childcare allowances, as well as policies and programs that support in the cost of marriage, housing, parenting, and childbearing. Fourth, develop work-family balance policies, including a revision of parental leave, childcare, and flexible work arrangements. And fifth, encourage the development of the holistic, family-friendly programs that encourage the central role of the family in society, such as the development of parenting education programs. And so we thank you, dear colleagues and distinguished representatives, for the opportunity to work together to advance family policy and research as we collaborate on preparations for the celebration of the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. As Vice President of the European Large Family Confederation and mother of 6 children, I am really honored to speak about the needs of the family in our society. I would like to introduce 2 other key points from the Civil Society Declaration. First, I would like to emphasize the need to develop, invest in, and implement family strengthening and parenting education programs. These programs are essential to emphasize positive parenting and to prevent corporal punishment and domestic violence. We believe that such programs can provide parents with the knowledge and skills they need to raise their children in a safe and healthy environment. In Germany, in our association, we have very successful experiences in providing digital education for parents and families through Zoom. The topics are very diverse, ranging from parenting courses to using media such as ChatGPT. Secondly, I would like to emphasize the need to support the role of the family in the social inclusion process of young people transitioning to the labor market. We must ensure that practical initiatives are initiated and made available to young people. I'm thinking about housing programs, work experience, basic skills training, social protection coverage, access to financial resources, and adequate working conditions. In this way, we can prevent the intergenerational cycle of poverty. At the European level, we have an exciting project that recognizes family-friendly communities. These cities focus, among other things, on the services for children and young people. Research has shown that strong, healthy families are the most important factors in resilience, governance, cohesion. We affirm the role of the family as the fundamental unit of society and its prosperity. To conclude, by investing first in family strengthening programs and secondly, by supporting the role of the family in the social inclusion process, we can create a brighter future for our children and our communities. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Allow me just to wrap up, to ask this question. What will be the future for families? We call for action to all civil society organizations joining the Civil Society Declaration for the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family. This will definitely make an impact on the UN system, member states, and other stakeholders. Sharing the realities of families worldwide and supporting substantive recommendations for better family-friendly policies will definitely spur policymakers to design, implement, and evaluate better family policies. We're just following up on the UN resolution that invites relevant stakeholders as part of the preparations for the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family to support research and awareness-raising activities at the national, regional, and international levels on the impact of technological, demographic, urbanization, migration, and climate change trends on families in order to harness their positive effects and mitigate their negative impacts. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the three civil society representatives. We really value the partnership we have with all of your organizations and appreciate this the sharing of some recommendations emanating from the declaration, which is a result of an extensive consultation, and really look forward to working with you continuously on the 30th anniversary. I would now like to open the floor to any questions or comments. Madame Ambassador from Hungary, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank you and thanks all of you for organizing this very insightful panel on the occasion of the International Day of the Families. And I have to tell you that family has a specific importance for Hungary. We all agree that today one of the largest demographic challenges in Europe and other countries in the world is population aging and the decreasing number of childbirth. This does not only pose a burden on our economies and societies and bring into question the future of our nations, but also represent difficulties for families who are facing the double responsibility of raising children and taking care of the elderly. Women undertake a disproportionate amount of this work, very often unrecognized and unpaid, as one of our special pointed out. Families as a fundamental unit of society should not face these challenges alone. In our view, it is a responsibility of states to support families in this context through inclusive, gender-responsive, family-friendly policies tailored to the different needs and priorities of each family. In Hungary, 5% of the annual GDP is dedicated to ensure that all couples wishing to have children have the necessary financial support and circumstances to do so. Hungarian family policies are designed in a way to ensure that families with children are not only not poorer, but actually better off financially than those without children. The goal of these complex and holistic family policies is to encourage marriage and childbirth, support families in their important role of childbearing and caring for the elderly, advance gender equality, improve work-life balance, and support active aging and strengthening intergenerational solidarity through facilitating the active participation of grandparents in family life. Hungary's successful family policies provide for three elements: the time, the services, and the resources to this end, as defined by the UNICEF. The time, meaning remunerated time to spend with children and caring for the elderly, by providing paid parental leave allowances for care duties and job protection for young mothers. Moreover, in Hungary, women can retire after 40 years of employment to participate in the care of their grandchildren. The services, meaning affordable, quality, and flexible childcare. And the resources, meaning tax allowances, tax returns, and subsidized loan for families with more children. The results of these policies implemented in the past 10 years speak for themselves. The fertility rate increased from 1.25 to 1.55, and in the meantime, female employment also increased from 55% to over 72%. And of course, civil society plays an important role in the design and the implementation of family policies. They are often the ones who have the specific expertise and experience in the policy area, and our government supports them in providing specialized services and programs. Hungary is and hopes to be an example of family-friendly country, and we appreciate this opportunity to discuss this important matter with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador, for this very important insights, bringing out the gender perspective and the especially on care duties. It has so much implications on demographics, as you pointed out, and as you and other speakers have said, the important role of family as a fundamental unit. This is really has much implications for the kind of comprehensive policies we need to be advocating and promoting. I would like to see if anyone from the floor would like to ask any questions to the panelists or comments. Yes, Madam, please, if you could identify yourself, that would be much appreciated.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Suzanne Wesley-Sepperson. I'm the Vice Chair of the Committee on Intergenerational Solidarity. So I'm very impressed with the panel and the presentation, and I have a few questions. I did attend to the ambassador from Hungary. Was it the second committee or third committee? And I was extremely impressed by the amount of government support for childcare. It was very impressive. And I was wondering what percentage of the GDP is actually spent on these kinds of programs, because here in the United States, it's essentially who you work for, what company, and it's all private. And that brings me over to Madam Mueller. I just want to say that I was born in Germany, so I'm very, curious now in terms of concrete activities, because I heard from Hungary and how that compares, and I know the situation in the United States. So are there any specific programs? Are they income-based? How do these specific activities to support families occur? Because I'll simply say, as a mother of 3 children and now a grandmother of 6 children, I just watch my daughter and daughter-in-laws, how they struggle, in terms of combining employment and family care and child care. And I'm actually proudly doing a lot of babysitting these days. But I was just wondering, what the balance is between state and private. And so if you could respond to that, I'd appreciate it.
Maybe we'll take 2-3 questions at a time and then have the speakers respond. Yes, Madame, please.
So impressed. You covered so many areas so well. This is just really excellent. I guess my question is, there's such a need to increase employment, especially of mothers. But there's a problem if mothers spend too much time, and fathers too much time from their children. There's this, Angela mentioned attachment. So, if we focus too much on employment, we're missing the point. And the most important thing is family. So I'm asking the question of addressing kind of the culture that says family is most important, like family-oriented policy instead of work-oriented families. If that's a question, it's a problem, I know, but I'd like to know what you think.
Thank you very much. Anyone else with a question or comment? Oh, yes, please, in the back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm the permanent representative of Guatemala to the United Nations. I would like to join others in thanking UNDESA as well as the different panelists celebrating today this important day of families and sharing different data and questions. For us in Guatemala, we have a public policy of life and family that was established 1 year ago in March, that is implemented in 99 programs at national level, where intergenerational solidarity is very key, since it is established that family is the essential basis of society during prenatal life, early childhood, adolescence, youth, adulthood, and older adulthood, in accordance with the Constitution of the Republic of Guatemala, as well as other national and international legal instruments recognized in the country. Another important element of our policy is the implementation of such a policy by different institutions of the government, while including the 3 branches of government as a republic we are, and of course of civil society, including academics such as the Pan American University and different churches and religious communities in the country. So we would like to share that best practice that we have in Guatemala. And we were also hearing the importance of the impact of migration. And that is a big challenge for us at national level and regional and global level. So we would like to ask UNDESA and different panelists on how we can best tackle this situation in different regions concerning the impact of migration on family reunification. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador of Guatemala, and thank you so much for taking the time to join our event today and sharing best practices and national experience. Okay, maybe we'll do one more round of questions, but I'd like to give a chance to for the panelists to respond. Maybe if I could start with you, Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you very much for your interest in Germany. In Germany, there's well, our demographic problem is actually we have to the amount of children is too small. We have a lot of migration, and the people become elder. We try to change it by improving the work balance, work-family balance, by having more childcare and parental allowance. This is one of the main points we have. But we have the problem that the family friendliness in the society is not so high, so we try to change it. And it's not so easy. Well, we'll see. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maybe if I could go to Dr. Mokomane online, especially about the question on migration, if you like. Can you hear us? Yes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, indeed, migration is the paper goes into that in a bit more detail, is one of the mega trends. And I think in the paper is that there is the recommendation that one of the major challenges with migration in contemporary society is more about policies and regulations that really hamper family integration. So I agree with the comment that there needs to be more thinking around that. And it is a recommendation to take that into consideration and countries to work together to make it easier for family migration and also family integration. Technology is another issue that is talked about in the paper, and I think that we can talk about in trying to enhance the family well-being of migrants, both in the countries of origin and in destination areas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. On the question about childcare and maybe more broadly in general care duties, would anyone like to jump in? Okay, Jonathan, please.
Thanks, Masumi. Thanks, everybody. So just touching on the question about balancing the need for improving labour market participation, especially among women, and then balancing the need for family-friendly policies as well. To me, I think we make clear in the report that those things are not mutually exclusive, that there are policies that countries can pursue that would do both of those things, that can both improve labour market participation. And in the context of population aging, that will be an increasing concern, ensuring that there are more workers that are contributing to the public revenue, but that they are doing so in decent work conditions, which includes access to social protection and paid leave as well, which are both family-friendly policies as well. So I think it's very important to see those things as mutually exclusive, that they can reinforce each other, and there are many different models that countries pursue, but that fundamental imperative of achieving both of those goals is one that countries need to keep in mind, I think.
Donna, please.
Thank you. I would just like to add that it's very important as we're thinking about our policies to think about the changing demographics and definition of family, in that in so many cases older adults are taking on primary care roles. And so as we're crafting policy, we think about childcare as making sure the childcare that supports are available to non-traditional families like grandparents and other relatives raising children. And then the other thing I wanted to add on intergenerational solidarity, I really appreciated hearing so many of the comments on the topic, is to think about how as a world we have thrived and survived over the years. Some people will point to the grandparent effect or the grandparent advantage. That's what's helped us throughout time is the fact that we have those older caregivers, and now we have even a more incredible opportunity because we have such a larger scope of older caregivers and family members. So it's to make sure that we're being inclusive and really promoting solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you for those very constructive messages. Maybe we'll go around for another round. Yes. So we'll start with you, Madame, and then you, sir, and then you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gail Davis, and I'm an UN ECOSOC CSO representative, and also sit on the Climate Finance Committee within Finance for Development with NGOs. The question I have is this: how do we balance? Because I know I hear everyone saying it, but it's a fact that two things. When you are raising children, the mental health of children and the adults in the household is paramount. When two people are together by themselves, it's a different family structure than when they're together with a child. And actually, a child brings more responsibility and the best out of both parties from a psychological point of view. Then you can be, like you said, the caregiver taking care of your parents. And now that older people are having children, and taking care of their parents at the same time, how do we balance that out in a way that has workability for everyone? And I don't think the answer is more work or more productivity or finding more work around that. And the Netherlands, here's my question totally. The Netherlands had the first policy where men had paid leave when a child was born. They were one of the first to have it. And that was great for mother and father to experience a child together. But it's important that they have that time off and that they structure that time. How do we do that? How do we create that where there's a balance and still work is fulfilled on? And we don't have young people in silos saying they're the future when we are all the future together. No, that was a lot, but if anyone can answer it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Nathan Wiltshire. I'm a researcher at Yale and Australian National University. My work focuses on cross-cultural solidarity and empathy. Thanks for this wonderful session. It's really a pleasure to be here with you to talk about particularly this topic of intergenerational solidarity. My question is in relation to Professor Gonzalez's work. This work is fascinating to me, especially making the case for intergenerational programs. I see this as a great potential for many positive outcomes, especially where I'm from in Australia, where there are relatively weak ties between generations. So I'm really interested to know more about some of the challenges that you see with this work, how to build bridges between people who maybe have not had this across their lifelong interactions between generations, and maybe some ideas on how to overcome these challenges, particularly in the context of individualistic societies which promote values that appear contrary to these type of interdependence values which these types of intergenerational programs are built on. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. We'll collect the questions and have a final round for all the speakers. Madam, you have the floor.
Does it work? Yes. I work for Inclusion International Secretariat. We are the global network of persons with intellectual disabilities and their families. So the issue of, this is just a comment, the issue of care is really important to our network too. Families also have, especially women, have to care for their family members with disabilities. So yeah, it's we have a lot in common with what was said today, and we are very excited also to be part of the celebrations for the 30th anniversary of the families, and we hope that the issue of disability will also be seen as more relevant. We, as a network, are exploring, we are eager to start working on a global report also on families too. Yeah, we are very excited to join you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment and information. Sir in the back, thank you.
Well, I'm from Kiribati, an island in the center of the Pacific, the first to be in the new millennium, the first every day. The sun rises first in Kiribati. And so if you remember the millennium celebration, we were there on an island and we celebrated the dawn of the new millennium, the first in the world on Millennium Island in my country. And the theme of our celebration was rebuilding the world by rebuilding the families and the cultures. And so I'm very glad. Thank you for organizing this. I'm very, very happy to be part of this, the Family Day. So let me say, happy Family Day to all of you. Yesterday, we celebrated the Mother's Day. And I think they're connected, in my opinion. So let me say, belated happy Mother's Day to you women. I can see most of you, most of the people here are women. I think the men are not really very active. I guess there's a reason, and I know I'm a man, father of one, and granddaughter of one. I'm not very lucky. I wish I had more children. I wish I had more grandchildren. I might have a few more later on. Or great grandchildren. I might have many. I hope I will have But in the Kiribati society, still very traditional. Traditional means as we were many hundreds years ago before industrialization and modernization came, we're still like that. So we watch the world with our lens, our traditional lens, and we watch the world. What's going wrong with the world? Families are breaking up. We're still intact as family. Family very important, like you say, is the unit of society. We say the building brick. Building brick means if the bricks are strong, the house is strong. It will remain for a long time. So I can see as I move around the world, and I can feel when I'm in a society where families are not working. I can feel it as I walk through the street. And I'm sorry to say, and I want to say, expert to comment on this. What is going wrong? What is wrong? What is it? Is it technology? Is it modernization? Globalization? Why the family is breaking up? I see in some society, more than half the children are from broken homes. Too many people breaking up. I'm married for 45 years, so, and I thought at some point maybe I should have another wife, maybe I should move on, but I decided not to because family. My son, I love my son now, I love my granddaughter. I don't want to disturb them. But sometimes you give in to your own feeling and you forget about your responsibility. But to me, there is a breaking down of family everywhere. And so children are left. The poor children have to cope somehow. So what shall we do? What's the way forward for the world? We sang on the Millennium Day, we say, together we shall build a better world. Let us rebuild our families, our cultures, and communities where love and care is part of life. And everybody has a role to play. We believe that is the way forward. But the world is not saying that. Looks like too much of this story telling us, it's better to do this and this. Change it. Change the way the world was made. Change the structure of the world. Change the structure of families. Can we get some good advice from the experts? We have Dr. Mokomane there. What is the way forward, Doctor? And those who are speaking today, thank you. Very inspiring. And thank you, my colleague from Hungary. I was very impressed with what you're doing. Yeah, we should learn more of those things. And from Germany, thank you. And from Guatemala, I see you're working on that. Let's all come together and do something. Try and fix the world, the broken world. It's a broken world we are living in. That's my thinking. I'm sorry. But thank you. Again, happy Family Day to you all.
Thank you, sir, for those thoughts. And really, we've run out of time, but I want to give maybe 30 seconds each to the speakers to wrap up and to address any of the questions that were raised in the second round about balancing family and work and intergenerational interactions, disability, and the role of family on the way forward. So maybe if I could start with you online, Dr. Mokomane. 30-second last thought, please.
Okay, thank you very much to the last speaker. I'll just say that I think this is the theme of today, just demographic trends. So maybe in the report, and I think from the other presentation, you can see how demographic trends are affecting families and how we can support them. I think that's the short answer to it. And I was also very interested in the discussion around care and taking from a developing country perspective. I would really like to say that family policies should also look at informal care workers because the dynamics there are different than in informal care. In wage care, we don't have paid leave and all those parental leave. So a bulk of working parents in developing countries are in the informal sector, and that should be taken into consideration. Another issue, I agree with children with disability or family members with disabilities and mental health issues. I think that should also form the core of our care programs as going forward. That's what I can say in my 30 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jonathan, next.
Thanks, Masumi. Yeah, I mean, I think we touched a lot about the balance of these different policies, but I think to me, and according to the work that we've done, I think there are two imperative, and all of these pathways will look different in different countries. There is no one size fits all, and it has to be respectful of the different needs and imperatives of the country that these policies are operating in. But two kind of main kind of imperatives, I think, when countries are approaching these problems. The first is the need to provide economic security for all members of the household or the family, young and old, female, male. So not to just think about economic security in a very narrow sense, but think about economic security across different members of families. And the second imperative is to provide choice and space for the ambitions of all family members to engage in the labor market, for example, especially the formal labor market. We heard online that the importance of providing informal care and formalizing the care economy is a kind of crucial element to both support aging populations and also to support families and caregivers as well. So that transition from informal to formality is a crucial imperative for all countries to pursue, I think.
Thank you, Jonathan. Donna, please.
Thank you. And thank you for all the wonderful comments and questions. When it comes to intergenerational solidarity, I simply want to reiterate and urge people to think about an intergenerational solutions lens whenever we're looking at any of the issues that we're facing in our communities and countries, whether that's the environment, whether that's preserving culture, whether that's creating safe environments, is to not think about what older adults need and then think about what children need and then think about what middle-aged people need, but think about it from that holistic intergenerational solutions lens that realizes that people at all ages and stages of life have something to contribute to supporting families and to supporting our communities. We need to make sure that we're weaving our policies and our solutions so that they do value the strengths of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Alex?
Thank you. Yeah, my organization, the International Federation for Family Development, is present in 68 countries, and we focus on parents and parenting. And a lot of the stress when forming a family is on the parent, as we have seen. And we have to consider what is a family-friendly policy for, either as a public or a private institution moving it, is either for social protection, mental health, education, care, and economic security, and who is it really benefiting? Either institutions or corporations or the family itself. And in this case, that affects all the decisions of the future and in demographic challenges.
Thank you, Alex. Angela?
In regard to the overarching, I think, topic of today is really looking at all of these issues through a family lens and knowing that we cannot understand these issues outside of the context of every member of the family, including the mothers, the fathers, and their children, and strengthening those important bonds. And really looking at when we talk about women's empowerment or fathers' empowerment or children empowerment, we really can't understand these types of empowerment unless we look at them through the context of their family. And so that is really important. And one of the things that the Doha International Family Institute does is we research these things and then provide policy recommendations. And one of the recent policy recommendations that we put forth to the Qatar government is really allowing women to work very flexible hours. They have now implemented that into their human resource system where they can choose. They have choice. And I think that's so important is they can choose to stay home with their children. They can choose to work part-time or full-time, whatever works best for them and their family, and especially for the little ones at home, what works best for them. So that has been implemented. And I think that when we can put these implementations into national agendas and goals, then that can be actually implemented as a normal care practice. So that's what we've done in Qatar, and I think that many countries, such as Hungary, are substantially working on that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Elizabeth, please.
Thank you for giving me the word again, and I'm very impressed about all what was said. And I take it home again that families are really important, but they are a fragile structure, and we need a lot of power. They need a lot of empowerment, and I'm sure we are a good group to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the speakers and all the participants in the room and online, really for the rich discussions and interaction. I think each of us have a lot to take back, and I hope you will stay engaged, and we really look forward to continuing our work together. So happy International Day of Families, and thank you so much for joining.